This video brought to you by jadedpainting.com. If you need your miniatures painted to a tabletop standard, check out jadedpainting.com.
Hey everyone, welcome to another painting tutorial. As always, my name is Jay, and today I'll be showing you how to paint the Sanguinor, one of the awesome looking HQ models for the Blood Angels army. And you'll see for this tutorial I go with the true metal effect using actual golds and silvers, as opposed to many tutorials which use the non-metallic metal effect. So I began by priming all the model gray, and I separated the wings from the body to begin with just so that it's easier to paint them and then put them on at the very end, since it is an entirely resin model. And here I am priming both parts of the model gray. And then I base coated the body Mornfang brown, which is a really dark reddish brown, and I wanted to set a foundation color for the golds. Since pretty much the entire body will be gold, it's always a good idea when the majority of the model is gold to paint it a dark brown ahead of time, which will then allow the golds to really shine through the model. And once the brown was dried, I then went over the entire body with Balthazar Gold, the base gold color from Citadel range. Now when airbrushing using a gold color, it's always very important to thin it down, but then to also add a glaze medium. I did a 1-to-1 mix of glaze medium to Balthazar Gold and then diluted it with airbrush thinner. That way you get very good consistency and it still shines in the end. And when it was dried, I gave it a shading of non-oil. If you want to make your gold look a little older and worn out, I'd recommend a 1-to-1 mix of Agrax Earthshade and non-oil. I just want to get it a little more pristine, so I just used non-oil, and I used a fan brush or feather brush to just to get it very quickly over the areas. I then base coated the wings using white scars. Once again, I just used an airbrush because it'll save me a little bit of time. I just had to clean up my airbrush because it was a little clogged. As you can see, the flow greatly improved with the second attempt. And again, once again, this is just to save a little bit of time when painting such a large area, such as the wings. I then gave these wings a watered down wash of Drakenhoof Nightshade. That way it'll get in the recesses and give a really nice blue tint to these angel wings and produce a really nice effect when you go over it later with white scars. And then back to the body. When the shade was dry, I did an overbrush of all of the body with Gehenna's Gold, a really nice warm reddish gold. And once again, I just focused on the raised areas of the model, leaving the recesses, the really nice non-oil combined with Balthazar Gold. Now that I'm not using an airbrush, this step took a little bit of time, but the key is just to take your time, focus on the raised areas, and make sure to cover all of them really nicely. When doing this step, I intentionally kept all the areas that would be shaded the Balthazar Gold as well, and only focused on areas that the light source, in this case my desk lamp, would be hitting on the model with Gehenna's Gold. And then finally, I gave one more edge highlighting just the areas I really wanted to pop, such as the shoulders, the cheekbones, the forehead, all this with Auric Armor Gold, which is a really bright yellow gold. And once again, just picking out the details on the model you really want to pop when a light source hits it. This is one of the reasons why I really like true metal as opposed to non-metallic metal, because when you do it like this, you can actually see the reflection and the brightness from various angles as opposed to just one angle that when you use non-metallic metals. I then started on all the red areas of the model using Mephiston Red. I intentionally diluted it once again with thinner, just to get a really nice even coverage of the model and not to obstruct any of the nice details on the shoulder pads and purity seals. And when the base coat was dry, I gave all these areas, including the sword, the shoulder pads, and the purity seals, a shading of Careberg Crimson. Once again, this crimson shade will just hug all the edges and get into the recesses and provide some really nice depth of red color on these areas of the model. Here you can see all the wiring and the purity seals that are red as well as the handle of the sword. And the teardrop on the back, or the blood drop, sorry, on the back of the backpack. When the shade was dry, I gave the first highlight with a mid-tone color, Evil Sun's Scarlet. Once again, I basically just did an overbrush, focusing on all the raised areas and the areas that are not edges. Luckily, this step took not a lot of time, since it's just a very quick highlight of these areas. And then I did one more very light edge highlight of these areas, and once again just focused on certain parts that you really wanted to pop when light hits it with Wild Rider Red, which is a very bright red, almost an orange color. However, this color is a little bit too bright, so to bring it down just a little bit closer to red and to blend these reds together, I gave these areas a bloodrider glaze. This is a fantastic product and will blend these colors really nicely, and what I love to do is you go a little bit past the spectrum of red, and I do this as well with my blues, and then use glazes to bring them back down to produce a really nice highlight. And then I repeated the same process that I did on the big wings on the little wings of this model, painting them with white scars. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the big wings and give them a Drakenhoof Nightshade. And I'll do that in just a moment after I'm done painting the wings on the shoulder pads and the front of the Sanguinor. And you can just see a side shot of me painting the wings. And as always, make sure to get a nice even coverage of these areas before proceeding to the shading. And then I repeated this, of course, on the same wings that are on the backpack. And while doing this, you can really notice the nice gradient of golds on the back. Step near completion, we can turn our attention to shading these areas, as well as finishing the rest of the model. So as always, thank you very much for watching this painting tutorial. Please like the video, comment in the comment section down below, and subscribe to my channel if you already haven't done so. It really does help a lot. And when you're ready, click on the link below to go to part 2 of this Sanguinor painting tutorial.